Well, hello everyone. Here to show you the Big Bird operator. As you see right here, is I went ahead and drew in color right here. Is put your Big Bird, and then of course it's like a number of things. It's like which I went ahead and drew right here. Of course, like this other little project that I went ahead and drew. Of course, was is like which most of us if we've seen them before is the adapters. It's like the wireless phone that adapter hookups that you may have seen them before in the store. That of course that I have a set, but then of course it's in use right now, so I just went ahead and drew right here is it's like a little picture diagram, which I'm sure a lot of people would probably think about is that with the picture diagram with most of them that if you were to it's like if you were to go to a electronic store or whatever it is that they try to explain something to you, and a lot of times it's like maybe if they had a pen and pencil or something like that on hand, and they would more likely maybe draw out what they're describing. But basically he's talking about is like you got these phone adapters right here. Is one in that hooks up to a phone line. You got like the in and out jacks, kind of like what you would hook up if you were maybe trying to hook up your cable TV or anything satellite. Of course you don't even have satellite, but anyway, it basically. I guess according to my definition, I would describe it as that you connect one end to a telephone line, one end to an actual phone line. If you want to maybe hook that, either you have an option between a phone line or like the internet modem to your computer, or it could be a dish, anything that related to like any type of phone connection on there, one end, and then that would be connected to an AC outlet. It is, and the other end would just plug in directly into an AC outlet. But then anywhere in the room, you can just plug the phone in. And I remember that I've seen these many times, and during that time, those couple years ago, that I remember in Walmart I seen it, and then of course I think at that Venture, that a few other appliances stores that they would have them, that you would put it anywhere in the house it is that you would want to add an extra phone line to, and without any drilling or any type of wiring, whatever you call it. But I guess depending on what you're doing, but you would actually be able to add a phone to your an extra phone around the house. And more likely you'll probably think about is that I remember a couple of times I've seen before in the store, but then of course it's like it never took me about nearly 20 years until I bought a set. And one, it was like, well, I don't know if I know it's like it's impossible for anything that related to a phone service to work by wireless or whatever you call it. But anyway, but you have right here is for Big Bird. It's talking about with telephone numbers. Is that ways is like for to make a phone call. Is I went ahead and add right here. Of course, is the telephone dial pad, and of course is like a lot of these activities, which I'm kind of like what you call, to go on, to talk and talk, conversation. But other than that is going by the steps between 1, 2, and 3 right here, and it seems like maybe steps 1 through 10,000, whatever you call it, that more likely if you were to maybe explaining about maybe how something works, which I remember whenever I was in school a lot of times that the teachers would want you to explain something, and during that time I if anything I probably only wrote about maybe 4 or 5 sentences, or maybe a couple paragraphs, whatever it is, of how something works and such. But basically, I guess to make the long story short, is knowing about is that whenever I would come home from a long day at school, and sometimes my mom and dad would probably want to know, but want to see some of my schoolwork, if I had any homework or whatever. But on the long run, that most teachers, whoever would probably always ask you. It's like that ask the question a number of times. Is that what do you want to be whenever you grow up? And of course it's like that I thought of a couple of things also that one thing that of course that I could maybe also think about is knowing about maybe if you could memorize every city in the world or whatever you call it, maybe get on a game show, whatever it is. But so far as education goes, is with our education that more likely that if you could think about it, is the number of phones. Number of phones that are being used is worldwide. That it's like you calculate the number of phones. It's like how you basically train to be able to calculate about the cost and of course about the operation of the phone lines and stuff like that. But other than that you have right here, steps 1, 2, and 3 is talking about is like you say that I've read this of course on a Skype is the rates of how much it costs, and of course about you say I guess you say maybe the installation, I guess installation how much it costs just to put it in, and then of course is like is a arrangement so far as you say is operation it is. So far as the operation goes, and then but you have those 2-3 steps is knowing about really if you need it, and it's like how it works, and then whenever you're ready to use it. But other than that is that is like that one thing that I do cause that knowing about is that with most parents or aunts and uncles, what it cause like knowing about what you want to do whenever you grow up is like is like the job is is to be there for your loved ones as much as you can. It's like knowing about whatever that you choose to be, if it's a doctor or say an operator, that more likely that you could be away from home for those couple of weeks or couple of months or whatever it is. To know is that is like that to know that whatever it is that the job is that knowing about if that's what you really want to do. But other than that is that is talking about, which reminds me about is like every weekend or say maybe every holiday, that a lot of times if you were to get paid any type of allowance money, that more likely that you probably say that if you were to go out clothing shopping or shopping for any electronic toy or whatever you call it, that a lot of times that some people probably say that there are some times to where you go into the store and then you can't afford something right away, or that maybe you spent too much money, whatever it is. But then on the other hand too, if we ever thought about the fact about is that if you were to go out shopping and maybe you're looking at about the options, like you're trying to make up your minds like for whichever device that you want to use, and a lot of times it's like I've had that to where I would buy something, of course it could add up with the taxes and rates and stuff like that. It's like I would buy something, and the next thing you know it is that I don't even have any type of training on it, or I never had it before, and I didn't even know it even existed before until maybe say the magic words or whatever you call it. That magic words will more like be is like what you call it. It's like it's like if you roll the dice and then you roll 4, and then maybe that you'll be able to get it. But other than that, it's like for a call, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and it goes like this, like in that with most phone, telephone numbers. If you dial, it's like I remember that the keys like for the operator goes as like enter your card number or whatever it is, and then a lot of times it's pound or star or maybe 0 for the operator or anything like that. But so far those other countries like Japan or Japan or Germany or wherever you call it, that they got their own set of keys. But anyway, but I remember hearing that a lot of times is that with the operator is that like we're sorry, or like hey, if you would if you'd like to make a call, please dial the area code first and then the telephone number. But other than that, it's like you have right here is for Big Bird and Big Bird operator color.